What if everything you think you know about this team is only half the story? Because behind every great football nation, there are moments of glory, hidden struggles, and decisions that changed history forever. And today, we are going to explore a question that millions of football fans around the world have wondered. How did Brazil become the most successful World Cup team in the history of football? And who are the greatest players that made that possible? There is one shirt, one color, one word: seleção. Seleção, the heartbeat of a nation. When you see that iconic yellow and green jersey walk onto a pitch, anywhere in the world, something happens. The crowd shifts, the atmosphere changes. Because Brazil is not just a football team, Brazil is a religion, a culture, a way of life that billions of people across this planet have come to love, fear, and admire. 5 FIFA World Cup titles, more than any nation on earth. And a list of legendary players so deep, so talented, so magical, that most countries would be lucky to have produced even one. But how did this all begin? And how did a nation transform its pain, its poverty, and its passion into the greatest football dynasty the world has ever seen? Let's go back to the beginning. Brazil first entered the World Cup in 1930, finishing third on their debut. Respectable, but not yet Brazil. In front of nearly 200,000 people at the Maracanã in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil hosted the World Cup and were widely expected to lift the trophy. Then came the Maracanazo. Uruguay shocked the world, defeating Brazil 2-1 in the deciding match. The nation wept. It became one of the most devastating moments in sporting history. But from that heartbreak was born a hunger that would reshape the entire sport. 8 years later, in Sweden in 1958, a 17-year-old boy from Três Corações stepped onto the World Cup stage and announced himself to the world. His name was Edson Arantes do Nascimento. The world called him Pele. Brazil won that tournament, then won it again in 1962 in Chile. A dynasty had begun. The peak came in 1970 in Mexico, widely considered the greatest World Cup team ever assembled. Playing a brand of football so fluid, so creative, so beautiful that it permanently defined what the beautiful game could be. They lifted the Jules Rimet trophy for the third and final time, keeping it forever. Then came the modern era. After a 24-year wait, Brazil returned to World Cup glory in 1994 in the United States, winning on penalties against Italy. And 4 years later in France in 1998, they reached the final again. Then in 2002 in South Korea and Japan, Ronaldo, the phenomenon, led Brazil to their 5th and most recent world title, finishing the tournament as top scorer with 8 goals. To understand Brazil, you must understand who built this legacy. Pelé, the greatest of all time for many, 3 World Cup winners' medals, over 1,000 career goals, the man who made the world fall in love with Brazilian football. Zico, the white Pele, a technician so brilliant. Brazil's failure to win the 1982 World Cup with him remains one of football's greatest tragedies. Ronaldo, the phenomenon. 2 World Cup titles, 2 Ballon d'Or awards. A striker who redefined the number 9 position with his combination of raw pace, power, and clinical finishing. Ronaldinho, the boy who played with a smile. The 2002 World Cup winner who later became the best player on the planet, winning the Ballon d'Or in 2005 and making defenders look foolish with his joy and genius. Cafu and Roberto Carlos, 2 of the greatest fullbacks in football history, who somehow played for the same nation at the same time. And then, Neymar, Brazil's modern icon. The most expensive player in football history when he moved to Paris Saint-Germain in 2017 for $222 million. The man carrying the weight of that yellow shirt into the modern era. Yet for all that history, Brazil have not won a World Cup since 2002. That is now over 2 decades of waiting, of near misses, of heartbreak. In 2014, on home soil in Brazil, the Mineirazo happened. Germany defeated Brazil 7-1 in the semifinal, 7 goals, 1 in a semifinal, on Brazilian soil. A moment so painful it entered the global sporting vocabulary as a symbol of catastrophic failure. In 2022 in Qatar, Brazil were again considered favorites. They played with flair and purpose. But in the quarterfinals, Croatia eliminated them on penalties, sending the Seleção home once again without the trophy they desperately craved. Brazil's challenge today is both tactical and cultural. The rest of the world has caught up. European clubs now develop Brazilian players within tactical systems that prioritize discipline over individual expression. The raw, untrained genius that produced Pelé and Garrincha no longer exists in the same way. But the talent pipeline has never stopped. Players like Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, Endrick, and Rafinha represent a generation with genuine world-class ability. Technically sharp, physically powerful, and motivated by the weight of those 5 stars. Brazil matters because football matters. And no nation has shaped the sport the way Brazil has. The Joga Bonito, the beautiful game, is a Brazilian concept. When people around the world fall in love with football, they often fall in love with Brazil first. The global fan base, the cultural influence, the yellow shirt recognized on every continent. This is not just a football team, this is the sport's greatest story. 5 World Cups, Pelé, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, and the generations yet to come. Brazil has given the world more football joy than any other nation in history. But the wait for a 6th star has now stretched past 2 decades. The pressure grows. The talent is there. The hunger is real. Because when you wear that yellow shirt, the world is always watching. But the real question is, can they rise again, silence the doubters, and make history once more? Only time and the beautiful game will tell.